Welcome to Dajobnik.
Eylon Levy, thank you for being here with us. I have two things I want to talk about. One is the ceasefire and the hostages, and the other is what we saw there. Let me start with ceasefire. How close are the Israelis and Hamas to a deal?
Well, there isn't going to be a ceasefire that leaves the hostages in Gaza or Hamas in power. That is how the war is going to end, with the hostages home and Hamas removed from power. But what we do want to see is a temporary pause in the fighting that will enable us to get hostages out. That was what happened on the previous occasion. We had a pause in the fighting, got 105 hostages out, 10 plus more foreigners in exchange for every day pause in the fighting. And that's what we want to see. That's what we're pushing for by putting more military pressure on Hamas. Unfortunately, now Hamas has been making delusional demands. It hasn't passed on the names of the hostages who would be released in such a framework. That is something we are expecting to receive. And we're continuing to put pressure on Hamas, and hopefully we will have good news, but nothing is final till it's final.
Are you as hopeful as the American president?
It's been far too long that these hostages have been trapped in the Hamas terror dungeons. We know what is happening to them. The starvation, the executions, the sexual abuse, the survivors who have come back and spoken about hostages who have been sexually abused at gunpoint. So we know that there is no time left to get them out. And we hope that the continued application of military pressure, together with diplomatic input from our allies in the world, will help to get these hostages out. 134 there. 33, we know, are already dead. Time has run out for them.
Ramadan is approaching. Are you concerned about fighting during Ramadan and the way that might further inflame tensions in the region?
We would want to see this war over as soon as possible, and it will end when Hamas either surrenders or is defeated. Now, of course, wars during Ramadan are not new in the Middle East. Let's remember the 1973 war, the Yom Kippur War, began when Egypt and Syria invaded Israel on Ramadan. We want to see this war over, but it has to end with the hostages home and Hamas removed from power. And we think that anyone who is concerned for the civilian population and humanitarian situation in Gaza should be pressuring Hamas to release the hostages and to surrender so that this fighting can end.
Let me talk about what we just saw today near Gaza City. I'm going to take the IDF's word and say that they fired on a crowd who was threatening them approaching. If you take their word for it, doesn't that only prove the sheer desperation, the amount of people who are desperate for food in that region, in this strip of land? And if that's what it shows, why isn't there more of an effort to make sure people don't starve to death on top of the violence?
My heart really goes out to the individuals who were crushed in that stampede and who were run over when the truck drivers whose aid was being looted tried to escape and ran them over. It's horrific. And my heart goes out to civilians as well who know and have seen that Hamas is hijacking aid and feel betrayed by the UN agencies that have said nothing about the terror organization stealing aid. Now let's look about what we are doing as Israel to facilitate the provision of aid into the Gaza Strip, because it's important. There is excess capacity at the Israeli crossings for more aid to enter. We can facilitate as much as the world wants to send in. Not only by land, we've facilitated aid drops as well. The problem is that the UN is struggling to distribute the aid at the pace that Israel is facilitating its entry. Aid is piling up not on the Israeli side of the crossings, but on the Gazan side of the crossings, where the UN is struggling to distribute that aid.
Can Israel not do more within Gaza to distribute the aid?
We're working together with international partners, and the convoy you saw was, I believe, the fourth this week going into the northern Gaza Strip, and we're working on finding new ways to deliver aid into northern Gaza. This convoy was part of a private contract with the private sector to try to get aid in, because the problem till now, aid has been distributed through UNRWA. And as has been widely established by now, that's an agency that was working as a Hamas front, riddled with terrorists, covering up for Hamas trying to steal the aid. And so we're trying to find new ways in an impossibly challenging environment to make sure that the civilians who need aid can get it and that Hamas cannot steal it for its military purpose.
There are certainly accusations against UNRWA. I don't know if everybody is on board with saying it was riddled with...
oh, no, there are many who are still trying to cover that up.
The UN is pushing back on that. Eylon, it's good to have you. Eylon Levy, thank you very much.
Thank you, Katy.
Thanks for watching. Drop a comment below. Don't forget to like, share, and hit subscribe to stay updated with our latest content. Until next time, stay informed and inspired. This is Dajobnik signing off.